You sink into the blue. Silence wraps around you like a soft cloak, and then suddenly you hear a sound. It doesn't come from the air nor from your imagination. The waves carry something more: rhythm, clicks, whistles. As if the ocean itself were trying to speak, and within its voice lies an intelligence you don't yet understand. Dolphins are not just inhabitants of the sea, they are its guardians, keepers of what lies beneath the surface. Their world runs parallel to ours, full of movement, sound, and invisible signals. They glide through it with impossible grace, communicate in a language millions of years old, and live in societies so intricate that humans are only now beginning to grasp their depth and emotion. But this isn't a story about zoology. It's about contact between two worlds, human and oceanic, and about what we might hear if we finally learn to listen. Dolphins are guides to a depth we cannot see. Though their presence is subtle, their lives shape the waters more profoundly than storms or currents ever could. A dolphin is not just an animal. It is a being that thinks, feels, and plans, in a reality utterly foreign to us. Its brain, larger and more intricately folded than that of most mammals, holds not just information, but awareness. Every click, every whistle is a choice, a response, an act of understanding. A dolphin not only hears, it comprehends. It can recognize members of its pod after years apart. It can imitate, learn, play, and cooperate. Its intelligence is not a mirror of ours, but another kind altogether. Fluid, sonic, social. They live in pods that are more than groups. They are societies bound by rules, friendships, and shared memory. Elders teach the young where to find fish, how to evade predators. Calves learn through watching, imitating, failing, and trying again. Each mistake becomes a lesson, each success, knowledge absorbed into the collective memory of the pod. There are no solitary heroes here. Even the strongest dolphin depends on others, because cooperation is survival. Each dolphin has its own whistle, a signature sound that functions as a name. It's not just a call, it's identity. Through this sound, dolphins recognize one another amid the noise of the sea, distinguish friend from stranger, summon help, issue warnings. And sometimes they even joke. Yes, dolphins have a sense of humor. They play, surf waves, toss jellyfish, chase each other, not out of necessity, but out of joy. Their society is as complex as a human city, but governed not by law, by emotion. In pods, one can witness adoptions of orphaned calves, care for the sick, and coordinated hunts requiring strategy and timing. This is not pure instinct. It's planning, anticipation, teamwork. Research has shown that dolphins can design hunting tactics, dividing roles like players on a team. In their communication, there is no chaos. Every sound, every click carries meaning. Echolocation allows them not only to see in the dark depths, but to map the world through vibration, locating each other, obstacles, prey. It's sonar, language, and emotion in one. The pod moves like a single organism, reacting instantly to threat or opportunity. Scientists who study them say some pods even exhibit culture, behaviors passed down through generations, specific hunting techniques, unique whistles, games. It's proof that dolphin intelligence is collective, not individual. Their minds are woven together, forming a living network of knowledge, memory, and feeling. They also understand consequences. When a member behaves aggressively, others respond, isolating or correcting it. Their morality is not human, yet it follows a clear logic of cooperation and respect. This is how they survive oceans full of predators and chaos, by trust. Even more astonishing is how dolphins learn from humans. In some coastal regions, fishermen and dolphins hunt side by side, driving fish into nets together, each knowing its role. It's not just curiosity, it's partnership. Proof that their intelligence adapts, searches for meaning even in encounters with us. But what makes dolphins truly extraordinary is empathy. They help the injured, both their own kind and sometimes even people. Stories abound of dolphins guiding the drowning to shore, protecting swimmers from sharks, supporting orphaned calves. Their emotional world is not simpler than ours, only spoken in another tongue. Their lives balance individuality and belonging. Each dolphin has its own personality and intuition, yet none lives entirely alone. The ocean demands cooperation. In its vast, shifting silence, solitude is death. Their intelligence, then, is biological, emotional, and social all at once. The wisdom of the many, carried within the one. Dolphins remind us that intelligence is not only logic, and life not only struggle. Their world teaches that survival depends on empathy, listening, and connection. In their clicks, whistles, and calls lies the story of millions of years, of evolution, of the ocean, of a rhythm of life we may never fully grasp. And that is the true secret of dolphins. They don't need our recognition to be extraordinary, but if we learn to listen, to look beneath the surface, we might glimpse a world of intelligence as profound, emotional, and beautiful as our own. They live in a world we cannot see, but we can hear it if we learn to listen. Their language has no letters or words, but ripples of sound, clicks, whistles, pulses, shimmers. Each wave bounces from the ocean's skin, from rock and fin, from one dolphin to another, and returns changed. Within that web of echoes lies a map of prey, of friend, of danger, of self. Echolocation, that miraculous sense, lets them see with sound. Each click sends out a question. Each echo brings back an answer. Fish hidden in the dark, a reef beneath the sand, nothing escapes that sonic vision. It's not just hunting, it's perception. Every echo is a message whose meaning depends on context, memory, and emotion. A dolphin can recognize itself in a mirror, and in its echoes, it recognizes others. Its signature whistle, its name, evolves with time, mood, experience. Calves spend years learning their call, listening, mimicking, shaping it, and then use it to summon, warn, or simply say, "I am here." But the whistles and clicks are only the tip of the iceberg. Dolphins converse in groups, creating sound constellations in which each echo influences the next, as if the wave were reshaping itself, carrying emotion, instruction, and story. Their conversations are dynamic, alive, and filled with subtleties that humans have yet to decode. Echolocation is not merely a tool for perceiving the world. It is also an instrument of emotion. Studies have shown that dolphins shift the frequency of their clicks depending on mood, on stress, pleasure, or threat. One could even speak of the emotional tonality of their sounds, just as in human laughter, whispers, or cries. The ocean then becomes a symphony of life, waves, echoes, whistles, and clicks forming an orchestra in which every participant is both musician and listener. Within pods, the passing of dialects has also been observed. Groups of dolphins learning from one another patterns of sound that become unique to their community. It is culture born in water, handed down from generation to generation. Not a language in the human sense, but a communication system so intricate that scientists are only beginning to glimpse its structure and potential. Another fascinating aspect is their cooperation with other species. Dolphins recognize the sounds of fish, other mammals, even human signals. They can respond to diver commands, work alongside fishermen during hunts, and sometimes, though rarely, protect humans from danger. Their language isn't limited to their own kind. It's adaptive, fluid, elastic. It's not merely a tool. It's a way of living through listening and responding. Yet echolocation has a darker side. The noise of ships, military sonar, and oil and gas exploration disrupts their communication. Clicks scatter chaotically. Whistles lose their meaning. The young fail to learn proper patterns. It is a kind of silence imposed by humankind, unnatural, dissonant, breaking the structure of their world. Dolphins have survived thousands of years in the seas, yet in a few short decades, humanity has changed their habitat more profoundly than nature ever did across centuries. The language of dolphins shows that intelligence need not be human, and communication need not take the form of speech. It can be a wave, a click, an echo. It can exist in water, in air, in the space between bodies. And if we learn to listen, truly listen, we may discover a world that runs parallel to our own, alive, intricate, and beautiful. Dolphins teach us that language is not only words, but the meaning hidden in rhythm, repetition, and relationship. Each echo, each whistle, is a story. The story of the sea, of the pod, of life itself, surviving through listening, cooperation, and awareness. Dolphins feel in ways that humans often fail to comprehend. Their lives are not mere chains of instinctive reactions. They exist in a world where emotions guide decisions, and social bonds hold the power of survival. It is not feeling in our human sense, but a form of emotional intelligence that allows them to coordinate, care, and protect their pod in the unpredictable, ever-changing world of the ocean. In a dolphin pod, every gesture matters. A touch, a tilt of the body, a gentle brush of a fin. These are messages full of nuance, comparable to the body language of humans. The young learn not only how to hunt, but how to read these signals. The elders watch over them, teaching danger, teaching play, and even patience toward others. It is a world where empathy is innate. Survival depends on caring for one another. Dolphins adopt orphaned calves that have lost their mothers, treating them as their own. Sometimes the pod devotes time and energy to guide a young one through the water, to teach it how to breathe, to hunt, to avoid sharks. In their world, lack of care means death. So altruism is not an exception. It's a way of life. True compassion in action, not performance. Their empathy extends to the wounded and the old. When one is sick or weak, the others surround and support it. Help it stay afloat. Help it breathe. There are stories of dolphins encircling humans in distress, shielding them from sharks or guiding them towards shore. Such behavior shows that their empathy reaches beyond their species. They can respond to another's need even without fully understanding it. Dolphins experience emotions akin to joy, sorrow, curiosity, and fear. Their games, leaping above the surface, chasing one another, tossing jellyfish, gliding through currents, are not just physical training, but expressions of happiness and connection. Scientists have observed that when dolphins lose a close member of their pod, they may show signs of grief, sometimes altering their behavior for long periods. It points to a form of consciousness and emotional memory that stretches beyond what we can easily imagine. Nor can we forget their relationships as adults. In pods, cooperation, mutual support, and even negotiation are common. They hunt together, share space, assist one another in caring for the young. Conflicts are resolved through sound, motion, subtle gestures, not violence. Their social intelligence runs so deep that the pod functions almost like a democratic community, where everyone knows their place and feels responsible for the others. What may seem like romanticism to us is, in the world of dolphins, a practice of survival. Cooperation, care, empathy, all of it ensures life. But survival is only one side of the coin. There is beauty too. Dolphins nurture their bonds, express emotion, teach the young gentleness and confidence. It is a world where emotional intelligence is as vital as physical strength. Through observing dolphins, we learn that emotion is not exclusive to humans, nor is it bound to words or faces. In the ocean, emotion lives in clicks, whistles, in touch, and in shared drift within the currents. Every feeling becomes part of the pod, and the pod, part of the sea. Their existence reminds us that empathy is not a luxury. It is a way to endure a world full of uncertainty, change, and immeasurable beauty. Dolphins remind us that life does not always require domination, rivalry, or control. Sometimes, survival depends on listening, supporting, and cooperating. Their emotion and empathy embody this truth. The ocean lives through them, and they through the ocean. And therein lies the greatest secret of dolphins. Their heart reflects life itself, in motion, in water, in community. It is a lesson we humans may spend our lives learning, that to be intelligent is not only to think, but to feel. That consciousness is not merely awareness of self, but awareness of others. Silence in the ocean is never complete. Even in its deepest waters, the pulse of life can be heard. From the whisper of plankton to the calls of whales, dolphins have always been part of that symphony. Their clicks, whistles, and squeals blend with the waves, composing the ocean's music. But that music grows harder to hear. More and more often, silence is not peaceful. It is forced, broken by something they cannot control. Ships, yachts, tourist boats, military sonar, all invade their world. Every engine's thrum, every metallic blast spreads through the water for hundreds of meters, masking the natural signals dolphins send to one another. Imagine finding yourself in a room where you can no longer hear your friends' voices, where every sound drowns out your words. That is what the ocean has become for dolphins when we enter their space. In nature, silence is part of life. It allows one to hear the fish, to sense danger, to stay connected to the pod. When humans intrude, they create chaos that confuses, frustrates, and sometimes harms. The young become lost. Mothers can't hear their calves. Whole pods are forced to move in search of quiet. Some scientists call it the noise that kills the sea from within, because dolphins cannot escape it the way we can shut out the noise of a city. But sound pollution is only part of the danger. Plastic, fishing nets, chemicals, climate change, all leave their mark on their lives. Dolphins can flee one threat, but not all at once. Every plastic bag, every torn net, every film of oil on the water is a trap waiting for them. Their curiosity, the trait that lets them explore, play, and learn, so often becomes their curse. And yet, the most dramatic part is that humans don't always see the consequences of their actions. Dolphin watching trips, which seem harmless, change their world. Boats that come too close force pods to flee again and again, interrupt their hunts, separate them from their young, or disrupt their natural rituals. Dolphins can't express anger in words. All they can do is swim on, still searching for their rhythm in an ocean that grows increasingly unfamiliar. What's remarkable is that dolphins can adapt. They learn new ways of moving, new whistles to communicate despite the noise. But adaptation has its limits. Imagine a person who must suddenly whisper in the middle of a hurricane. That's what life is like for a dolphin in a noisy sea. It's not a struggle for comfort, it's a struggle for survival. The future of their world depends largely on us. If we don't change the way we treat the oceans, their music may fade away. What today is a whistle or a click may tomorrow become only an echo in empty space. Yet where the seas are left in peace, where human noise does not reach, the dolphins return. In silence, their language is heard again. Pods gather, young ones learn to whistle, and the ocean regains its rhythm. Even so, the ocean is never truly calm. Currents shift, fish migrate, the water is warm. Dolphins are masters of adaptation, but sometimes even their intelligence and empathy aren't enough to escape hardship. The ocean sets the rhythm of life, and we are merely its observers, sometimes destroyers, sometimes guardians. Silence in the water is not just the absence of sound. It is the space where life renews, organizes, and endures. Every whistle, every click, every flick of a fin is proof that despite all difficulty, the ocean still lives. Dolphins teach us patience and respect. That true life is not only struggle, but also cooperation, gentleness, and attentiveness. Their future depends on us. If we learn to hear the silence within the water, if we understand that noise, plastic, and interference in their world are not small inconveniences, but questions of life and death, then we may restore the ocean to a state where whistles and clicks once again sound like a song. But if we ignore those signals, the ocean will grow empty, and its music will fall silent. And with it, the world that dolphins have shaped for millions of years. Silence in the water is not the end. It is both warning and hope. Dolphins can survive. They can teach us compassion and listening, but only if we let them live in a world that still knows their language. Because the silence that surrounds them is not always peace. Sometimes it is the echo of our indifference. When you look at a dolphin in an aquarium, it seems to smile. Always the same expression, the same sparkle in its eye. Children laugh, wave, and the dolphin leaps, spins, and disappears again. For a moment, it looks like pure joy. But that smile is an illusion. A dolphin cannot take it off. Its muscles are built that way. It's not a smile of happiness, but an accident of anatomy. Behind that glass wall in chlorinated water, something entirely different happens than in the ocean. The rhythm of the dolphin's life has been broken. In nature, dolphins travel dozens, sometimes hundreds of kilometers each day. They live in pods, intricate societies where everyone knows everyone else. Mothers, calves, cousins, friends. Their language, full of clicks and whistles, holds thousands of nuances known only to them. In a tank, there is no space for that. There, sound bounces off concrete. The echo comes back like a stranger's voice. In an aquarium, a dolphin lives in constant noise. Pumps, filters, wave machines, music from loudspeakers. The sounds that once carried meaning in the wild become a cacophony. The sense of echolocation, which is its site, begins to torment it. For us, the hum is background. For them, it's a scream. Some say that dolphins in aquariums live longer because they have veterinary care, regular meals, no predators. But that's like saying a human is safer in prison because they can't be hit by a car. The body may be protected, but the soul withers. Dolphins lose the instinct to hunt, stop singing, stop learning new whistles. Their world shrinks to a few cubic meters of water. In the wild, dolphins play, fight, and chase each other. In aquariums, they swim in circles, again and again, in the same rhythm. It's like walking in an empty room for a lifetime. Some eventually stop responding. They drift slowly along the wall, pressing their snouts against the concrete. Sometimes they dive and don't come back up. And yet there are places trying to do things differently. Sea sanctuaries, open bays, where dolphins from captivity learn once more to swim with the currents, to hunt, to listen to the ocean. It's a difficult process. After years of artificial life, returning to nature isn't easy. Some never fully recover, but for many, it's the only chance to feel freedom again. Many people who once worked with dolphins in marine parks speak of an awakening. For years they believed they loved them, that they were giving them home, care, joy. Then they began to see how the dolphins grew quiet, how their gaze became empty. Love is not enough when its price is captivity. It's not about condemning those who love dolphins and wish to see them up close. It's about understanding that the true beauty of a dolphin exists only where it can be itself. In motion, in the sea, in its pod, that cannot be caged behind glass. A dolphin is not made for walls, for concrete, for the rhythm of applause. Its world has a different pulse, the pulse of the ocean. In nature, water is not just space, it is language. It's how the dolphin reads and writes. Every current, every wave, every vibration is information. To us, the sea is a landscape. To the dolphin, it's conversation. In the ocean, a dolphin feels the way we feel in the air. Every motion of its body, every contraction of its muscles is an answer to invisible forces it has known since birth. Where uncertainty begins for humans, home begins for the dolphin. It doesn't need a compass. It doesn't need a map. The water itself guides it to where it belongs, where its friends live, where fish dance in schools, where the waves smell of rain. In its natural world, the dolphin is itself, not a trained performer, not an exhibit, but a part of an ecosystem that functions with exquisite precision. Here, every creature has its place, from the smallest plankton to the largest whale. Every sound has meaning. Every movement has purpose. The dolphin doesn't perform. It participates. A dolphin doesn't think like a human. It doesn't have to. Its world isn't built on me and you, here and there. Everything it sees, hears, and feels flows together into one continuous image of reality. To the dolphin, the world is not a collection of objects. It's rhythm, a space where sound, motion, and presence merge into one. That's why its mind feels more like music than machinery. The dolphin's brain is a masterpiece of evolution. Though different from ours, it is one of the most complex in the animal kingdom. Its cerebral cortex, responsible for emotion and connection, is larger than ours, not because it needs math or language, but because its life unfolds within a society that works like a network. full of hierarchies, friendships, alliances, and memories. Dolphins remember one another for decades. They can recognize the voice of a friend after 20 years apart. Every sound, every tone matters. Their communication isn't just whistles and clicks, it's a language of emotion. Dolphins create unique signature whistles, personal signals that function like names. When one goes missing, the others call for it, repeating its name in the water until the answer returns. That's not instinct, that's care. That's memory of another being. Scientists have discovered that dolphins can plan and solve problems. They use tools. Some place sponges on their snouts to protect them from sharp rocks while foraging. Others teach their young how to surround schools of fish and drive them toward shallow waters, forming coordinated hunting strategies. This knowledge is passed down not by instinct, but by teaching. Dolphins have culture. But true intelligence isn't only about tools. It's about awareness. Dolphins recognize themselves in mirrors, one of the few species capable of that. When they see their reflection, they know it's them. It means they can think of themselves as someone who exists. That's rare. That connects them to us more deeply than many would like to admit. Their emotions run deep and genuine. They feel joy, sadness, curiosity, even grief. Dolphins have been seen holding the body of a dead companion near the surface for hours, as if unwilling to let it go. Pods have been observed slowing down for the sick, as if giving them time. And they've been seen at play, because dolphins play not for gain, but because they can feel pure delight in being alive. That's what separates intelligence from instinct. The awareness that time exists, that others exist, that emotion exists. Dolphins don't just react to the world, they interpret it. They anticipate, cooperate, help, even deceive. Their world contains a complexity once thought to belong only to humans. Some studies suggest that their brains, though different, activate in ways similar to ours during moments of empathy. When a dolphin hears the call of a calf, the same areas light up that, in humans, respond to compassion. It means they feel not only what happens to them, but what happens to others. Their intelligence, then, is not a copy of ours. It runs parallel. A different way of understanding the world, still rooted in relationships, emotion, and memory. In that sense, they are closer to us than we're willing to admit. Only their wisdom doesn't build cities. It preserves balance. It doesn't dominate the world. It lives with it. The dolphin is proof that consciousness is not a human possession, but the result of living in a world that demands understanding rather than power. It is a creature that teaches that intelligence is not only thought, but empathy. That one can be wise without needing to rule. That one can know the ocean not through conquest, but through listening to its voice. And perhaps that's why, when a human meets the gaze of a dolphin, there's a strange feeling. Something between wonder and unease, as if seeing a reflection of oneself in another form. Because in that gaze, something whispers, I know that I exist, and I know that you know it too. Dolphins cannot bear loneliness. The ocean is too vast, too deep to survive alone. So they live in pods, something between a family and a society. Among bottlenose dolphins, the species most familiar to humans, groups usually number from a few to several dozen individuals. But under the right conditions, they can merge into massive superpods. Hundreds of dolphins moving together like a living, breathing choir. In such a pod, everyone knows everyone. Bonds last for years. Mothers and calves, friends, partners. Sometimes entire clans bound by shared memory and history. Some dolphins, especially males, form lasting pairs or trios that act as alliances. They hunt together, compete for mates together. And when one is injured, the other never leaves. It's more than instinct. It's loyalty, the kind rarely seen among animals. In the dolphin world, solitude is an anomaly. And when it happens, it often means sickness, confusion, or exile. A dolphin swimming alone is a sad sight, as if some inner light had gone out. Their lives unfold not only in water, but in sound. They communicate constantly. An unending stream of clicks, whistles, squeaks, and chirps forms a kind of continuous conversation. When they swim together, sound becomes a thread that binds the entire group into one body. If one disappears, it's called for immediately. Some studies show that dolphins can recall and reproduce the names of others even after many years apart. No other animal in the world does this. Dolphin mothers are remarkably caring. For the first months, a calf never drifts farther than the length of its mother's body. When it sleeps, she sleeps too, always alert, always near. The calf must surface for air every few minutes, so the mother's rest becomes a rhythm of vigilance, guided by her baby's breath. She teaches it not only how to hunt, but how to understand the sounds of the pod, how to respond to signals, how to swim in sync with the group. Everything an adult dolphin knows is learned through observation, imitation, and experience. There's also a curious fact. Dolphins have local languages, dialects. Pods living in different parts of the world speak in slightly different ways. Their whistles and clicks carry distinct rhythmic patterns, as if each group had its own accent. When two pods meet, they can adjust to a shared tone, much like people shifting their intonation to understand one another better. Their senses belong to another realm entirely. They see well both above and below the surface, able to look in two directions at once, each eye watching something different. But sound is their true sight. Echolocation allows them to see everything, even in murky waters. Not in colors, but in shapes, textures, and distances. In a sense, a dolphin is never blind. Its world is a symphony of waves telling it what is happening all around. They also keep rituals that defy easy explanation. Dolphins have been seen carrying dead fish into deeper water, as if laying them down as offerings. Others bring objects, shells, sticks, even bits of coral, passing them between one another in what seems a symbolic gesture. No one knows why they do this, but perhaps not everything is meant to be explained. Dolphins eat what the sea offers, and they do it in 1,000 ways. Their diet includes fish, squid, shrimp, crustaceans, and for the largest dolphins, the orcas, even seals and big fish. Each species, each region has its own cuisine. Here, shoals of tiny sardines. There, a seafloor rich with cod and squid. But what fascinates most is not the menu itself. It's the creativity of how dolphins find their food. It starts with the classic echolocation and solo hunting. Click, the echo returns, and the dolphin knows. There's a fish. How big, how far? In clear water, that's enough to catch a single target. But the ocean is chaotic. Fish hide in grass, sand, and crevices. So dolphins refine techniques of uncovering and flushing, sweeping the seabed with their snouts, stirring up hidden prey, washing small fish and squid out of the mud. Where the bottom is rocky, they use edges and currents to scatter schools and trap them, creating turbulence with their fins like living tools. The scale of their strategy becomes clear only in group hunts. Coral dolphins, bottlenose dolphins, and dusky dolphins display dazzling teamwork. One takes the role of hunter, others act as barriers or herders. The most famous trick is mud ring feeding from Florida. Dolphins dive and spin a circle of mud, driving small fish into the center. One leaps through the middle and scoops up the confused prey. Another method, corralling, gathers a school into a tight corner of shallow water with no escape, followed by precise attacks. In Argentina and Peru, dolphins perform strand feeding, working together to drive fish toward the shore. Several rush into the shallows, grab a meal, and slip back into deeper water. It's risky, demanding perfect timing and confidence. There are also brutal yet brilliant techniques. Tail slaps that stun fish, breaking up schools and leaving easy pickings. Another is the carousel. Dolphins encircle prey, pushing water upward, creating panic until disoriented fish become simple targets. Sometimes dolphins even cooperate with seabirds, driving fish to the surface so both can feed. It's interspecies hunting, proof that dolphin intelligence accounts not only for themselves, but for others sharing the ocean. The best-known example of tool use is the sponging of Shark Bay. Several female bottlenose dolphins wear sea sponges on their snouts as protection while foraging along the seafloor, allowing them to probe into cracks for fish others can't reach. This isn't a one-time fluke. It's culture, passed from mother to daughter. Proof that dolphins have traditions of technique and preference preserved within families. The tool itself is simple, but what it represents runs deep. A dolphin can extend its body through an object and teach its offspring to do the same. The diversity of hunting styles reflects social structure too. Males form hunting coalitions, females teach their young, elders share experience, where to fish, when, and how currents bring prey after certain weather patterns. A young dolphin learns for years, watching, imitating, practicing tail slaps, refining its clicks, learning to interpret the pod's responses. It's not instinct, it's education, a cultural apprenticeship that only a handful of species on Earth possess. But not every hunt ends in success. In waters where overfishing has drained the sea, dolphins are forced into risky maneuvers near shore or steal fish from nets, often ending in conflict or fatal entanglement. Pollution and underwater noise distort their echolocation. Echoes blur in oil slicks or clouds of plastic, and their precision falters. It's a reminder of how fragile even the most elegant adaptations can be, undone by a single human act. At the end of this story of feeding remains an image. The dolphin as digital hunter, strategist, teacher, and student all at once. Its kitchen is the whole ocean, dynamic, difficult, unpredictable, yet it reads it, breaks it into rhythms, uses currents, rocks, and other creatures to earn its meal. When you watch a pod herding a school of fish, remember, you're not only witnessing a hunt, but a dialogue between bodies. A lesson passed from generation to generation, a testament of survival written in salt and memory. The ocean knows many sounds, but none are quieter than a dolphin silent beside its companion. It has been seen countless times, females holding the still body of a loved one at the surface, as if trying to share one last breath that changes nothing. Pods that slow down, circle in place, releasing low tones never heard before. It cannot be mistaken for play. It is behavior that speaks only one language, emotion. Dolphins live in societies where everyone knows everyone. They form bonds so strong they can only be called familial. Their world is woven from relationships, trust, shared hunting, shared sleep, shared joy. When one of them disappears, it leaves a void that cannot be filled at once. Scientists observing pods across the world have described mothers staying with their dead calves for days, even weeks, as the current carries them farther away. It's not delayed instinct, it's something deeper, a refusal to accept the emptiness that follows loss. Sometimes other dolphins approach gently, as if to help. You can see their hesitation, touching the body with their snouts, then pulling away, returning again. It resembles a gesture of farewell. There's no doubt, they recognize absence. They understand that something has ended. Some researchers say these reactions are evidence of empathy, the ability to feel another's emotion. In the animal world, that's rare. Dolphins can read the state of another. They know when one is hurt, weak, or distressed. They help each other, lifting companions to the surface so they can breathe, sometimes for hours. It's not driven by survival instinct. It offers no reward. It's a purely social act. Compassion. Some pods even show signs of collective mourning. Where one of them dies, groups fall silent. Their clicks cease, their movements slow, as if the tempo of their world has been turned down. After a while, they return to normal. But for a brief moment, the ocean becomes profoundly quiet, as if the dolphins have given it their voice so that it could speak for them. No one can truly say what happens inside their minds. But if intelligence means understanding the meaning of existence, dolphins have more than enough. They know when life ends, and they respond in ways that defy biology. Their behavior tells more about them than any experiment ever could. Because an animal that can stop and linger for a moment with the one who is gone understands something that for many humans still remains a mystery. In the ocean, sound is everything. Where sight fades after a few dozen meters, voice replaces light. For dolphins, it's not only a means of communication, it's a way of knowing. They don't just hear, they see through sound. Every click, whistle, buzz, and murmur carries meaning about the world, emotions, intentions. In water, where sound travels 5 times faster than in air, conversation takes on a new dimension. instant, spatial, complete. Dolphins use not one, but an entire system of sounds, each with a purpose. Some tones worn, others almost melodic, belong to play. And then there are those that sound like conversation, an exchange of thoughts. Scientists have recorded sequences that rise like questions, short, inquisitive, and others that fall, as if answering. No one knows what they talk about. But there's no doubt that dialogue exists. Their language has no letters or words, yet its structure has logic and rhythm. They produce sequences that resemble sentences, with repetition, cadence, and emphasis. Sometimes several dolphins speak at once, and still understand each other. It's possible because every voice has its own signature, its own pitch and melody, like instruments in an orchestra. What's remarkable is that dolphins don't just speak, they truly listen. They respond differently depending on tone, length, and context. It suggests they don't merely react to single sounds, but grasp meaning, the sense of the entire sentence. In some regions, researchers have noticed that different pods use distinct dialects, as if each had its own accent. It's not a biological variation, but a cultural one. In their world, sound is emotion. Dolphins make different noises when they play, others when they're frightened, curious, or content. Vibration, frequency, rhythm, everything carries meaning. You could say their language is a kind of emotional song. In moments of stress or danger, their calls become sharp and rapid. In calm moments, soft and drawn out. One study found that when a dolphin is isolated, its sounds grow flatter and rarer, as though it were fading into silence. Dolphins also learn from the sounds around them. In captivity, they can mimic human whistles or even the hum of machinery. In the wild, they sometimes imitate other species, puffins, whales, even the drone of passing ships. Not because they need to, but because they can. Out of curiosity, play, and joy. It's a rare gift in nature, one shared only with humans. Some scientists believe dolphins are capable of creating something like stories. Long, complex sequences of sounds appear in social moments. Before a coordinated hunt, after meeting another group, or during play among the young. These sequences feel like more than communication. They feel like ritual, perhaps a memory, perhaps a song, perhaps a way of keeping the past alive together. Yet dolphins also understand the power of silence. Sometimes an entire pod moves in perfect harmony without a single click. That quiet isn't emptiness, it's intention. In the ocean, silence is a tool for hiding from predators, for hunting, for listening. Their communication is not only about what they say, but also about when they choose not to. Science keeps trying to decode their language with algorithms, artificial intelligence, and pattern analysis. But perhaps what we're trying to translate isn't a language in the human sense at all. Perhaps it's something deeper, an exchange that doesn't separate thought from feeling, a sound that is both message and emotion. Because in the ocean, where everything vibrates and echoes carry from distant icebergs, a dolphin doesn't just hear others, it hears the world itself, and it answers, in its own tongue, in the rhythm only the sea can understand.